Welcome to our third video entitled Creating a Storyboard. This is actually our fourth take on this particular video. And the lesson here is that all the videos you offer may need to take multiple takes. This one is particularly challenging because we're doing a full take. We're not showing you how to use the editing software yet, which would allow you to correct mistakes. But this one is front to back a full video. So that's the challenge, and that's why you want to use editing software, which we'll begin using with our next video. But for this one, front to back, it's got to be right. So welcome to creating a storyboard. And so what you want to do is you want to start at the Start menu. And you'll click it with your left click, and you'll go down to Windows Accessories. And what we're looking for there is WordPad. And WordPad is just a very simple word processor. And that word processor gives you some basic elements that you need to offer. And what I suggest first is that you take your ideas and put it on paper. And then you can edit it and make sure that your ideas are well framed before you spend the very difficult time of using all the other software. And so for creating a storyboard, I like to start on this particular piece of software that's on every Windows computer, and you can access it. Mac computers should have a similar program or app on its menu system. I'm just not familiar with it. And so I've written out the things that you need to think about for your first video. And I've entitled this Video Design for a Storyboard. And so there are three sections I'd like for you to develop. First, your introduction. And your introduction is a photo plus text. And so that's you'll need to create a picture for your first introduction to your video. And that, from the audience point of view, will just be a single picture that's running for 3 to 5 seconds. And that creates your introduction. The graphic will be very simple, and we'll be adding a title and a name. For our second one, we'll be doing video content, and this is the knowledge that you're offering on your videos. And so we've already done that with our summary of the video project. So that one for this video is already done. And you'll just have to remember where it is when you want to put it into your video. And your third is we're going to go back to that photo software, and we'll create a photo, but then we'll be putting text on it. Now the text will be in the typical credit roll that you might recall from any of the movies you've seen actually rolls up the screen. That's a little more challenging. It'll be on our video editing software, but it won't be what we'll be doing first. First, we just want to get the basics available to your audience. So we want them to know what the name of the video is. We want them to know what your name is, and that's the author name. We want to know where it was shot, and we want to know the date shot. And then you'll want to protect your work with a copyright. And so that's the basic elements of a credit roll or a final credit graphic that you'll put at the end of your movies. And so those are the three elements of our video design: an introduction, video content, credit roll. And so we'll want to do that. So now that that's in mind, there are two that I need to build. I've already done my video content, and so I'll have to do my introduction and my credit roll. To do that, I need photo software. And so on every Windows computer, there's photo software. and it's called Paint. And so we need to go there. So let's get out of this one. I'll save it up. And we'll go again to our start file, and we'll go down to not Paint 3D. This is the new one that Windows has now included. A little more complex, does things that we don't need to do that we want. So the older version is under Windows Accessories, and we'll go down to Paint, and we'll bring open Paint. Paint is a very simple program, and one of the things it can do is help you build a simple photographic document. What it can't do is edit, and so they try not to compete with other more sophisticated programs, and so Microsoft gives you a very basic program that is very difficult to edit. And so you either do it right the first time or you do it again. And that's the challenge of Paint. But it's simple, and so redoing it isn't that difficult. So when you arrive in the program, we need to change the properties of the canvas size that we'll be working on. And so we go to File in the top left, drop down to Properties, left click. Now the width and the height, typically, let me show you the defaults, are 819 by 460. What we need to match the video software that we're using is 1920 by 1080. And so that's what you need to set your pixels at. If it said anything else, that would be the place you want to be. And so when we do that, that will get us started. Now we'll begin a new canvas. And so you can see that the canvas is very large. You can see that you've got the right size here, but we need to reduce the canvas and zoom out. So we press that button a little bit. If we don't like it, we adjust it a little bit, and that gets us to the size we want. And now, excuse me, and now all we want to do to create our picture is put text on it. And here you see the text button. And so we'll find a spot, typically fairly middle to right. And we see here we've got a cursor. If we don't like the size of the cursor, and I'd like to go a little larger, we go down to 72. That gives us our cursor size. And so then we put in our video title. I've simplified it here, and I'll open up my first video title. I'll zoom out a little bit, and there it is. Zoom back in so you can see it clearly. And so all I did in this font was my first YouTube video, enter, to break the line, by, enter, Dr. L. Bryan Williams. So that creates my first video title. And so put your title and your name on in a large enough font so that it looks clear on your photograph. And so now once you put what you want, again, if you don't like it, it will be difficult to edit, so you might just want to start again. And so we want to make sure you save whatever you have as, I prefer PNG as my type of photograph, but you certainly can use a JPEG. You've got others that are used for different purposes, but I prefer PNG or JPEG. So pick the one you want and save it to where you know it will be. For me, I put it in my pictures file under Saved Pictures. and I've entitled it First Video Title, and I've saved it. And so I'm not going to replace it. All right then, so we'll cancel that up, and so that becomes your first photograph that you'll put at the beginning of your video. So once you have your introduction done, now you'll want to do a credit roll. And so you do the same thing. You'll start a new picture. You'll make sure that it's at the bottom, it says what the size of the canvas is, and you want it 1920 by 1080. And if for whatever reason that's not your size, you have to go to File and Properties and change it. So once you're happy there, you'll want to zoom out a little bit to make sure you can see your canvas, or zoom in to make sure it's appropriate. You'll find your font or your text with that large letter A. You make sure your pointer offers you a place to do it. And for this one, I'd like to start up at the top, and I'm going to create. Now for this one, the font size, because you have much more, I've selected 18. And so that makes, and with my font in place, and again, there's some movement you can do here if you didn't quite get it right on the first time. You can begin typing your text. I've sped up the process by building mine. And so here's what I've done. I've done a credit roll, and notice that I put my credit roll under bold. And so I'm just going to delete this. So the challenge again of this program is that it is difficult to edit. And so you'll discover that up here under font is where you can embolden text. So in one clean sweep, put your title. And for this one, I started with a credit roll. That really is optional. My title of my video, I'm the producer. I shot it in McC on this date with this copyright notice to protect it. Did it all in one. So when you're happy with that, save it as a PNG. Okay, and so I'm going to exit my way out of that, and we're not going to save that. And so that is your introduction and your credit roll. And now you've got all the pieces you need to build your video storyboard. But you need a video editor. And again, all Windows has a video editor. And so you go down to Video, and you click into Video Editor from the Start file. And now you've come to your video editor. And so you'll see here that I've had a number of tests that I've been working on for my video projects. But this is going to be a new video project that I'm going to walk you through. And my first video project, and this is going to be version 2. Okay, once you've got your screen appropriately sized, and you see how I'm using the arrows to do that, you've got the canvas that you have. And so again, here's your title that you've just put in, and you can edit that if you like. If you don't like something, you can undo it. And once you've got a few steps along, you can also, if you undo something, you can also redo it. And you've got some issues on music and audio that you can work with. And eventually we'll be finishing the video. There'll be some ways that you can adjust your settings, but for me the default is fine. Your second area is your project library, and right now our project library is empty. You've got a screen to view what you've placed into the storyboard, and you've got a storyboard that is a variety of elements. So first you have to build your library, then you have to add things from your library to the storyboard, then you have to check it on your play screen. And so let's begin by doing that. I want to add the 3 elements that I've built now. It's from this PC, and I have to go back to wherever I've saved everything, and I have my first credit, my first video title, and I'll open that. And then I want to add from this PC my credit roll. And then I want to add from this PC my video. Now my video's in a different place, so I have to go to my camera roll. Remember, your pictures has a camera roll, and that's where we shot our video. And my most recent video, and I'm checking the dates, 2021, 12/22, that's my most recent. So I'm going to put that in my library as well. So that's the 3 things that I want to have in my library. Now I add in sequence, and then I place it in the storyboard. Notice, and there's my 3. Okay, now it's easy to move things around. If for some reason your elements don't go in the correct order, you left click them and move them. And it's very easy to move things around. So now that I've got my 3 elements, you can see here in the play, I can see the 3 elements and what it looks like on the screen, and then I play it. Greetings. Your first assignment is to produce a video. Okay, so I won't belabor you. I've got my title. I've got my recording, which also comes in with sound, and I've got my credit roll. And so that's the 3 elements to my first video. Okay. One of the things you can do is you can check your duration, and as you're watching it, you can change the duration. And you can see here, this is a 3-second duration, a 58-second duration, and a 3-second. And so for this, if you don't think you've got enough time, you can, at this level, easily change your duration. So you go into your slide, and you see the duration is 3 seconds. Maybe you want it at 5 seconds. And now it's a 5-second introduction. You can go back, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Greetings. And so there's how you can edit your duration to make sure it feels right, and you've given each of your elements an opportunity to be seen by your audience. Okay, so now as you come to this stage, you're happy with your video, and you want to make sure you're careful in editing and everything is done right. And if not, if you don't like this, if you don't like your introduction slide, you have to go back, change your introduction slide in your photo software. Save it up, get rid of this one if you don't like it, and replace it with a new one. So you'll have to do all the editing as you're working through your storyboard. Once you're happy with your storyboard, you'll want to finish your video. You'll want to click Finish Video, top right-hand corner, and that allows you to make a choice on video quality, and I strongly recommend you leave it at high, which is 1080, and you export it. The export comes in. We now got version, I think this is 4, and I export it. And so it takes some time for exporting. And so what we can do while it's exporting and is the last step we're going to do today is to deliver our first video to YouTube. And so I'm just about there. So I'll give it a second or two so you can see each of the steps and be aware that exporting, as your video gets longer and longer, the exporting gets longer and longer. What we often do is make sure that's the last thing we do at night, and we come back in the morning and it's rendered. And so this process that you're seeing is called rendering the video. It comes up as a video and it looks like it's ready. Greetings. Your first assignment is okay, and so we're happy with that. We want to make sure we can find our video at this stage. So I go into File Manager, and I go into Pictures, and I go into Video Projects, and there's first video version number 4. So that's the one I want to find. Now that I know where it is, I go out, I open again. I want to get to YouTube. I go to my Google Chrome, wait for it to come up. There it comes. And I see that my account is my test student account, so that's working well. And so I go into I click the 9 dots, which are all the available apps, and I click YouTube. Once I get into YouTube, it should automatically, again, help you to arrive in your account. And once you're in your account, you should click left click that and go to your channel. Okay, so now as you come, your first experience with your channel is an opportunity to manage some videos. And so the first thing we want to do is get a video. And so I want to upload a video. Left click on it. And then I'm brought to the select files, and I'll left click on that. And I'll go to the place I know my videos are at. So I go to Pictures, and I go to Video Projects. And I see there's my version 4, Video Projects. As you arrive and it's uploading your video, it's going to try and use some of your details so that it has what you need. And for this video, I don't need to put the versions on it, as this is my first one. So I'll delete that. And then I'll put some information. This is my first video project by Dr. L. Bryan Williams. And so it will try and give you some thumbnails, and it'll make some suggestions. What I like to do next is take my photo editing software and build my own. And so what we can do is at some point is to rebuild our thumbnail, and it takes a different setting. So your thumbnails, you may want to use the original default setting of Paint. And so click the default button. Let me just show you that. And so if you're to create a thumbnail, My memory is this will work well, so I'll go into Windows Accessories. I'll go into Paint. Again, I'm on my slide size, so I want to go into Properties, and I want to use the default. That should work fairly well for a thumbnail. Same process. You add your text and you increase your text. To 72, and you say my first video. Okay, that'll do. Scroll, zoom out, just take a look at it. Could be moving it around a little bit. And I save it as a PNG, and I call it my thumbnail first video. I save it. And then when I go back into YouTube, I upload my new thumbnail. Oh, I'm going to have to do something. They want you to verify your phone number. I won't do that now, but I've given you, once you verify your phone number, you'll be able to use this feature. So I'm not going to worry about that. Playlists are a variety of playlists that you can add. And so to create a playlist, the title I have is Education is what I'm offering. So I'll create that. And Education is this one. And I'm done with that. So now my playlist is my education videos that I'm selecting. My audience, and you're going to have to do this, was it for kids? And for mine, no, it's not made for kids. If yours was, you'll have to say to do that. You'll have to go next. And so there's some various things you can do. And learn about in the future. I'm not going to talk about it now, but adding end screens is a slide that you add so you can jump to the next video that you'd like your viewers to jump to. Cards is another area where you can promote parts of your video. And so it's checking now, and we're done. So you can see that, and not quite done. You need to define where you're going to put it. And for me, I'm going to make this one public, and I won't worry about scheduling it. You might want to make it private. Only you can see the video or people you choose. Or if you'd like to send a link out, someone you send a link to is unlisted, but no one else can see it unless they get the link. And then you have public. Everybody can watch it. This is your new video link, and you'll want to copy that so you can paste it in the URL and find your video later, or just come in and view it out of your channel. Okay, and then we're going to publish that. And so when it's finished uploading, we're still only at 55%. When it's finished, it'll be available to the public. And so there it is. This is how to create your first YouTube video and launch your video through the use of the storyboard. And the storyboard is the content. And so that storyboard needs parts. And so in this video, we built the parts, we put it all together into the storyboard, and we launched your first video onto YouTube. Okay? And so now, that's the basics of a YouTube video. From now on, we're improving it. And so come on back next time, and we'll show you how to improve it. So thanks for watching. See you next time.